Do we really need all of these expensive, exotic knife steels to cut stuff with? Or is the basic stuff good enough? We're going to take a look at that and more in today's episode of KnifeAQ, number 247 of the series, where I answer all your questions, sharp or dull. Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the KnifeCenter. Welcome to the series. Welcome to Thomas behind the camera. If you're new to this series, after Thomas says his random nonsensical thing at the beginning of the episode, we proceed to answer your questions. Today, those questions are taken from beneath the videos that you're watching right now. In fact, that's where we always get the questions. So if you've got one, go ahead and drop it below. It might show up in a future episode. First question today from Pescador Endemico. Could anyone give me an opinion? Looking for an everyday carry only for self-defense. Must not be big, to keep in pocket, low maintenance, but reliable for defense. The one I'm more into right now is the Cold Steel Air Light Tanto, but I see there are, various steels, various metals, opinions, and more. Please. I got some answers for you. It's interesting you say only for self-defense, meaning you're not going to use it for anything else. And if that's what you're looking for, great. Then in that case, you don't really need to worry too much about what kind of steel you're using. As long as something's built fairly well, it could frankly be anything, because this is something you're only going to use one time.
And then it goes into evidence.
Exactly. So you don't need something that has the edge retention to last a long time, because you need it to hold its edge one time. That said, the AUS 10 on the Cold Steel Air Light that you mentioned is more than decent stuff. Like it is not a super steel, but it has a very good amount of performance for more than just one cut. In fact, I would recommend looking at something that could kind of do what this does. Yeah, it's pretty good. You're very durable with the triad lock on this knife, and it's relatively affordable too, at about $69 right now. 3.5-inch Tanto blade, carries nice and slim. My one possibility, or one other thing to think about, if you like this, go for it. I have nothing bad to say about this. It is maybe a little bit slower in a adrenaline-filled self-defense scenario than some other options. You have to extract it, get on the thumb stud, and it's not a quick flicking knife necessarily. Can be done with practice, and actually that's brings us to another point. If you intend to use anything in a high adrenaline scenario, make sure you drill with and practice getting the equipment out, etc. And maybe get some lessons from someone who really knows what they're doing as well. But anyway,
Not us.
yeah, exactly. But as a knife, this is great. Yeah, very good performance for its price. But I've got some other options that are a little bit quicker than the Air Light, quicker to deploy, and that am these two right here. This up here is the Bird Cara 2 from Spyderco, and this is the Kershaw Emerson CQC 7K. You can see they each have this hook on the spine, and that is the Emerson Wave, or the pocket deployer hook. And in the case of each of these, and this gets into the practice part of it, when you go to draw the knife, instead of having to then find a thumb stud or find a flipper tab and deploy it, you can angle it so that it hits the hem of your pocket, and as you pull it out, it's going to automatically deploy, and then you're ready to go. Pretty quick, pretty nice. We'll start with the Emerson right here. Each of these actually are less expensive than the Air Light. It's about $50. So if it is truly a thing you're only going to use one time, as long as it's reliable, spending less is better. And this one right here is actually one of the 8CR series stainless steel options. There is D2 tool steel available in the Kershaw Emerson range, but it costs a little bit more. And you mentioned low maintenance. The 8CR series stainless here is more stain resistant, more stainless than D2 is. So this would be the right choice given that. The bird is also, 8CR series stainless, and just, a quarter over $50 right now. You mentioned the Tonto, so I pulled the Tonto on the Kershaw right here. The bird is leaning a little more, general purpose. It still has an aggressive tip, but it's not quite as, robust as a leading Tonto edge can be. You've also got a full flat grind for better slicing, less lateral strength compared to the lower flat grind on the Kershaw right there. But it's going to be more useful all the time. And if something's going to be, for me, if something's going to take up space in my pocket, I want it to be something that I actually use often enough to justify taking up space in my pocket. That's just me. Take it under advisement. And then, backing up to the steel selection here and kind of what we talked about at the beginning, or what I teased at the beginning, 8CR kind of gets a bad rap. You mentioned opinions on the internet. Everyone's got them, and everyone loves to kind of dogpile on 8CR. The truth of the matter is, it's pretty fine. It's basic stuff, but it works pretty well. And compositionally, it's real similar, almost identical to AUS 8, which, as far as I've always been concerned, is a decent entry-level steel. Take it under advisement. For basic stuff, it's going to get the job done pretty well. The serrations, I didn't mention that on the Kara 2. Maybe this would be something to ask someone who's more of an expert in hand-to-hand, knife combative things. The partial serrations, good or bad for a self-defense knife? I don't know. But it has its applications, could do a lot. Anyway, I hope that helps. Whether you choose to use any of these one time or more than one time, I think these would all do pretty good. The Airlight is definitely going to be the most compact in the pocket of the three, however. You can see the bird is closer, but it's wider and it's a little bit thicker. The Kershaw is Kershaw? The Kershaw! It's a bird. The Kershaw is a little bit bulkier. Still manageable, but yeah, the Airlight first in terms of easiest in the pocket. I'd say the bird second and the Kershaw third in this particular lineup.
Also, we're not lawyers.
All right, now we come to our segment called Measured Once, Cut Twice, which comes from Dowski66. And this was a few weeks back, actually, when I was showing the CIVIVI SOKN. Might have been a couple months ago at this point. And it has a feature that I missed. Particularly the Sheath has a feature that I missed, and you so helpfully reminded me. The SOKN has a feature on the Sheath. That's what I just said. That DCA forgot to mention. Check this out right here. There's a hook on the Sheath itself. There's also a pocket clip on the handle itself, which is a different thing. The Sheath is made to go on the belt or in the pocket if you take these straps off. Anyway, back to the comment. This hook, it's meant to be pocket drawn, just like the Emerson Wave. There's a shark-like tooth that catches the edge of the pocket to keep the sheath on your person when you draw. Yep, when you draw. This is the same concept as the Emerson Wave that we just talked about, but applied to a fixed blade. So you go and grab. Be a little. It's down there somewhere now. Maybe a slightly more aggressive pull is needed than a typical waved folder. But the SOKN is a really cool little fixed blade. I know you were talking about folders, Mr. Pescador Endemico, but something like this could be an interesting option for you with the pocket clip and pocket sheath right there. It's about $89 at this point in time. Anyway, Nitro V steel, very useful all around small drop point shape, about 3 inches long, 2.8. So yeah, cool knife. And thank you, Dowski, for keeping me honest. It's not the first time I've missed that same feature, which is kind of frustrating. My bad. Well, now we're going to come right into the lightning round for today. Nice brief episode today. Mad Max says, truck driver here. I do a lot of my own cooking while on the road, and I find myself using my EDC as a steak knife. Looking for a new EDC that can fill that role and some chopping tasks. Any recommendations? Sure, I got two. My mind immediately went to the Spidey Chef from Spyderco. It's got a great slicing profile with plenty of knuckle clearance as you're slicing on your plate or cutting board, and the ability to do some rock chopping when you want to. LC200N steel, which is about as stainless as a steel can get. It's nice and tough. And this whole knife follows the same ethos as Spyderco's Salt series of knives, which means all the parts internally, not just the blade steel, but the detent, the screws, everything is designed to be pretty much rust proof, or as rust proof as feasibly possible.
That's the rust poof. That's after it's rusted away.
The rust poof is at the end when it's like a carbon steel, and then it's no longer carbon steel. It's the poof. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really good option. I have one. I enjoy it very much. They have gotten more expensive nowadays, though. They're about $318. So for a more budget option, if you're looking for something like that, the Kaiser Momo series starts at about $75 for a Nitro V steel version. It's not going to have the same, like, cutthroat dedication to stainlessness that the Spyderco does, but take care of it. It's going to take care of you, that sort of thing. This one right here is 154 cm steel at about $109. You've got aluminum handles here, but there's a bunch of different flavors available in the series. There's also a shorter version. This one's a little bit over 4 inches long. There's a 3.2 inch version, which is a little bit smaller than the Spidey Chef, but same deal here. You've got good slicing and decent clearance for knuckle chopping. Just a few options right there that you might want to check out. Next question, Jason Webb 4871. I just got a new knife with a leather sheath. I love the look, but it's pretty tough, the sheath. For example, it comes with a fire steel loop and it can't fit the size it's supposed to. Do you have any tips to break in or condition leather sheaths? Sure do. I've got a JRE Industries leather sheath right here. Comes with the Bushcrafter HC from LT Wright. If you're looking for a handmade in the US knife that doesn't break the bank, the Bushcrafter HC is a great option. Feels good in the hand. One of the ways they get it to the price it is they go with 1075 carbon steel, which is a very inexpensive steel, both to buy and to machine. It's not difficult to work with. And even though it's more of a base steel, just like we were talking earlier with 8CR, surprisingly gets the job done pretty good if you give it a chance. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the knife. We're talking about the sheath. How do you stretch a sheath out? The answer is water. That's what I've used in the past anyway. Don't go like dunking it in water. If you wet the leather that you want to stretch, you can then stretch the leather to fit what you're doing. If you then wet the whole thing and put the knife in it, after you wrap the knife up in like saran wrap, you can even wet mold the sheath to get some nice retention, which is always fun too. There's leather conditioners out there that can do something similar, but what I've used in the past has been water. Slightly warmed water can be a good option as well. That can kind of make it work a little quicker. Don't use hot water though. I did that one time, I'm ashamed to admit. I boiled water and I was like, if warm water works, I'm gonna get the water good and hot and that's gonna help. I had water that just came out of the boil and like I poured it in over the sheath and it went like this. I ruined it that fast.
Nice job.
It was a sheath for a really expensive knife too, man. I was in my younger day. Well, it's not as expensive as some nowadays, but at the time it was a significant investment for me, and I was so frustrated. But you know what? Now that knife lives in a JRE Industries leather sheath because you can get backups that fit a lot of things pretty nicely. We actually sell some on the site. We'll leave a link to those down below. So yeah, anyway, it's not the original sheath anymore, but a JRE sheath is good by me. Last lightning round question comes from Charles Burrow. I have several ideas for new folding knife locks and I've reached out to several companies. Unfortunately, none showed any interest. How do you proceed forward if you can't get any traction? Check out the video we posted last weekend for last weekend's FAQ. We talked with Ben Peterson and Matt Fitzgerald, two of the folks who've designed knives. Well, Ben owns the company NAFs, but Fitz designs knives for NAFs as well. We talked a bit about how do you get into the knife design game and building up an audience and showing the company that you're pitching ideas to why you can be an asset to them. If that's an angle you can work on to make inroads, that's something to take a look at. But there's some cool insights in that video, so just want to point you there. But also, Charles Burrow, I don't know if you're a knife maker already or not. if you're not, it's going to be a lot harder to pitch ideas like this to companies. You may have to, do it yourself. Either, come up with the money to have someone make it. If you really believe in something and believe it has merit, go for it, man. Like that's how cool things happen. Especially when no one will let you into their sphere. Make your own sphere. Pretty cool. I know that's way easier said than done, however. But good luck, man. Seriously.
Probably easier than it used to be.
It certainly is. It certainly is these days. All right. Well, now we come to our final question, which is, of course, our most seriousest question of the day, which comes from Wombat 613. The word of the day is wombat. Is not the Columbia River, CRKT, orca a reverse wombat? So here's the orca right here. Closed position, knife down. The pivot is the eye. You got a big wombat butt, 2 paws, and even a wombat ear. Appeal to the reverse person on the team, somewhat. That's you. Name spelled backwards.
I see it.
It's the wombat. I was thinking it looks almost like some sort of like little prehistoric mammal with like a little horn or something right there if you have it going this way, or like a capybara who's pretending to be a unicorn or something.
Teacup pig.
Yeah, or something like that. So that's our question of the day to the comment section. What animal does this look like in the closed position? Either like that or like that. Is it a wombat like Wombat 613 would have you believe? Or not?
Well, wombats are in Australia, right?
I believe so. New Zealand, maybe? Did you know that in Australia, knives open the other way because it's south of the equator? That doesn't make any sense. That's okay, because we're taking things most seriously. Anyway, if you've got a question of your own and want us to consider it for a future episode, please drop it in the comments below. And also, to our original statement, super steels, overrated, or is 1075 and 8CR good enough for you? Seriously though, actually. I said that sort of snarkily, but I look forward to the conversation in the comments about this subject. Anyway, if you want to get your hands on any of these knives right here, check out the links in the description. Those will take you to KnifeCenter.com. And don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program or all the new payment options we've just added at checkout for y'all to consider. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, signing off. See you next time.